So in summary, black women love me. Shout out black women. Love them. They love me. What were we going to talk about? What did I have on the plan to talk about? Oh yeah. How black women love me. We were going to talk about being mission minded and loving the widows and the orphans. And that's why I brought up the totem. Again, black women in Uganda love me. The black security guards at all the museums in Chicago love me. Love my black queens. Shout out black queens. There was a funny, I didn't want to say, share this story. I was at one night, maybe a week or two ago in Nashville. Crazy hot, so hot. Moment of weakness. I was like, dude, I'm sleeping in my truck every night, or I'm sleeping at a campsite, or I'm like crashing at a friend's house. But most of these nights, man, I'm sleeping in my truck and it's just hot. I have my windows down. I wake up sweating, you know. It's uncomfortable in a beautiful way. I'm not complaining. I'm doing this on purpose. I like doing this. It actually is pretty rewarding. Like going to bed uncomfortable, waking up uncomfortable, and still praying to God and being thankful for it is next level, man. It really is like next level. The gratitude you have for everything in life when you're like not comfortable for 8 hours of your life every night when you go to sleep. Something about it really does, at least for me, man, really brings me closer to Christ and really makes me more like grateful for just everything I have. And it makes me appreciate the things I don't have. You know what I mean? The blessings, what God gives you and what God takes away from you, you become more grateful for it all. You start trusting more of the plan. We talked about this on a previous stream when I was talking about fasting, you know. It's like when you have less, when you realize you are not God, when you realize you are not in control, when you realize you are like weak and pathetic and you need stuff, you need to survive. And in order to survive, you need stuff and things, you need love, you need sustenance, you need nutrients, and it's all provided from the creation of the Creator, right? When you start realizing like, and being really truly appreciative for what you have or what you don't have here in this physical created realm, you kind of start realizing what's up on the bigger level. You start realizing and being more appreciative of the one who created it and brought you and created you and put you here to experience it, you know, the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, the sunshine and the rain. I'm rambling, but you know, you get more appreciative when you have less. You are more appreciative for what you have. When you have less, you're more appreciative for what you do have, what you don't have, you know? So going to bed every night in my truck, sweating, man, it's rough, it's harsh, it's uncomfortable. It's not desirable. It's not what's like wanted by your flesh, by yourself, selfishly, but it has been really good for me. It has been really like grounding me and focusing my eyes on eternity and not focusing my eyes on myself, my pleasures, my comforts, my wants. You know what I mean? You start kind of worrying only about what you really need. And then you start having more free time and more energy freed up to go help and serve others. You start realizing like, I don't need all these pleasures and comforts. I can actually go be useful in other places, you know? All that being said, there was a night where it was just too hot. It was just too hot, man. The whole day was hot. The night was hot. And the night was going to be hot. So in a moment of weakness, I got a hotel room. And just to get one night of just sleeping in a bed and sleeping in the air conditioning, I broke my journey mission of practicing discomfort. And I went and slept in an air conditioned bed in a hotel room. I got a bag of gummies, a bag of sour gummies, my new thing. We'll talk about that in a second. My new latest obsession this year is these like sour gummies. But I get a bag of that. I eat like half of it before bed, go to bed, wake up the next morning, packing my stuff up, you know, getting my phone off the charger, making sure I'm not forgetting everything that I brought into the hotel room. Shout out Ducks coming back to kick it with me. So I'm collecting my things and I'm like about to zip up that bag of candy, and I saw that there was like a couple bugs. There was like 3 little like firefly looking bugs. Not like roaches, but like little like almost like little gnats or little like fireflies. And they were totally in the bag of sour gummies. So I'm like, oh, well, all right, I'm trashing this thing. And I just out of instinct zipped the bag. Like I just zipped the seal on the bag and threw it away. I was like, yep, I'm not eating that. There's bugs on it. Zip, throw it in the trash. Collect my things. Left the hotel for the day. Again, it was just one quick little night. Left the hotel, went back into my truck, went on my merry way. And as I was in the gym, I was like thinking about the fact that like I totally just zipped up those bugs inside that bag and threw it in the trash. And I was just thinking about like how brutal that was. Like I didn't even think about it in the moment, but I was like, man, those bugs stumbled upon a gold mine. Like they found a giant, in their perspective, like they found mountains of sugar, mountains of delicious candy all to themselves. No one to stop them from just gorging the rest of their lives on these mountains of sugar, you know? And then a giant came and locked them in like it was a tomb, sealed them in the tomb, and threw the bag away to be forgotten. And they just had to sit there in their bag of sugar, their bag of treasure, locked up, sealed up, dying a slow, painful death. And I thought about how brutal that was. In the moment, I didn't think about it. Afterwards, I was like, man, that's like it's literally like the story of like when the Mongols invaded Iraq, when the Mongols conquered the Abbasids, the big, giant, mighty empire that was reigning over like Mesopotamia, right? This big, giant Arabic empire in you know the capital city of Baghdad. They think that they're on top of the world. They have all the riches, all the power, all the gold, big giant walls, big powerful armies, all the gold. The king is just literally like dining on plates of gold. And like, you know, it was the epitome of like one of the wealthiest empires ever. And in come the Mongols. In come the Mongols on horseback with no gold, just weapons and ferocity and skill and might and brute strength, and a ferocity that says, surrender and I might spare you. And if you defy me, we will crush you so hard, which is what happened. They finally conquered defiant Baghdad, who they thought they were in their pride. They were in their mind of, we are on top of the world. We are like also protected by God. In their minds, they think that like they are protected by the Almighty God, Allah, right? And they think they're on top of the world. They think they're untouchable. And here come the Mongols who've just conquered the whole world. And they're going city to city to city, either like making peace deals with them or just annihilating them. And they finally get close to Baghdad and they're about to come. And the Baghdad people, in their confidence, in their hubris, out of pride, are defiant to the Mongols. And obviously they lost. Obviously the Mongols came and just ripped them apart, tore them up, laid traps and tricks and schemes and decimated their armies, laid siege to the city. You know, there's a whole thing that happened where they were like, they finally, when the people came and surrendered, they just slaughtered them. They went through and just slaughtered the whole city. They burned the city to the ground, destroyed this giant, fancy, one of the biggest cities ever at that point in history. And the famous quote is that the river Euphrates ran red with blood first from all the slaughtering they did. You know, they're just slaughtering everyone in the city for just being defiant and full of pride, right? But then after a few days, they said the whole quote is that the first few days, the river ran red with blood from all the slaughtering. But then for a week, the river ran black of all the ink from all the books that were thrown in the water. You know, because not only did they kill the people, but they erased the history. They were trying to just, out of, you know, oh, you're going to be defiant. Oh, you're going to be gluttonous. You're going to be full of pride. You're going to defy the obvious reality that's smacking you in the face, that like a more powerful force is coming. The judgment of God is coming for you. Because of your sins, you will now suffer the consequences. And because of their defiance, the Mongols not only slaughtered everyone, but erased them, erased their legacy, demolished their buildings, demolished their history books, you know. Total, I mean, that's a very historic, famous thing, right? But the story after, the reason why I'm bringing all this up and explaining this is what happened after was the Mongols wouldn't kill royalty. They wouldn't kill kings, right? So they have clever ways of like, sometimes I think what they would do is they'd like wrap them up in like cloth. Like they couldn't deliberately kill a king. They wouldn't behead them. They wouldn't slaughter them. They wouldn't do anything like that. But what they would do is like wrap them up in cloth and just like drag them behind a horse. So technically they didn't kill them, but like they kind of did. Or I think what they did, whatever. You can look all that stuff up. The reason I'm bringing that up is the famous story about the king of the Abbasids, the defiant king who tried to stand tall and stand strong against the obvious mightier force that was the Mongol horde. They took him, all of his gold. As they're walking through the city, they're parading this king around like a slave. They put him in chains, they're walking him around, and they're saying, like, I can't believe you spent, like, you have gold plates. You have gold silverware. You know, you have gold everywhere. You have fancy clothes and fancy things, all these rubies and diamonds and fancy things everywhere. And the Mongols were just so baffled at why they didn't spend that on buying more horses or buying more soldiers or making more weapons. They're looking at these giant, elaborate iron doors, and they're like, you could have made 80,000 spears out of this door. And instead, you wanted something to kind of showcase your wealth. You wanted to showcase how powerful you were. And now the real power came for you. Judgment came for you and took you and conquered you and slaughtered your people and destroyed your history and erased your civilization, raided it, burned it to the ground. And after they paraded this king around and mocked him and shamed him for his foolish decisions, his desire to be luxurious, his desire to have stuff, his false sense of security, you know, his worshiping the creation and not really truly worshiping his creator. The fact that he worshiped his creation, the Mongols said, you know what? We've got the perfect punishment for you. We've got the perfect reward for you. And I forget the guy's name, but the king of the Abbasids. And they took him into this vault full of gold, full of all the royal family's jewels, you know, all the gold, all the rubies, all the fancy things. They took him into the vault and they locked him in it, and they just let him be there. So technically they didn't slaughter, technically they didn't execute the king, but what they did do is lock him into a room full of his own treasures to die a slow, painful death inside the room of what he worshipped, which was the creation, which was the luxurious stuff, the good feeling stuff, the good looking things of this world, the created things. And he was locked inside to suffer with that, with the punishment, knowing that he could have spent these riches on more soldiers, or he could have made deals. You know, he could have given up some of this in order to save his people, save himself, save his history, save his civilization. He could have sacrificed some of his wealth, and instead he was buried in his own tomb full of his rubies and his gold. And the reason I say that whole story and bring that whole story up is that's all I could think about for the next 2 days was I did that. I was the Mongols. I came and I took the bag of candy and I sealed up the little ants, the little fireflies, not ants, the little firefly bugs that were inside of it. I sealed them in a tomb, and they suffered the death out of their gluttony and their sloth and their pride. They thought they had it all. They thought they came across the riches of the world, these mountains of sugar. They were just going to indulge themselves forever in these mountains of lush, sugary, sour, sweet candies. And then in came the Mongol horde and zipped them up and sealed them inside that tomb and left them to die a slow death in their shame, in their creation that they worship, you know, in their created things that they worship, that they loved, that they wanted more than anything else. And I came and sealed their fate, literally.